Hello and welcome to this episode of Mainline Connect. My name is Jennifer Lynn Robinson and my guest today is David Erfer, owner of Wayne Art Supplies. Welcome, David. Thank you for being
All right,
here.
thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Okay.
And Happy New Year.
Thanks, same to you.
So we like to start off the show with a networking topic. And when I was doing research to have you on the show, I noticed that you don't really have a big social media presence. And a lot of people, I think these days, find that social media is a big priority for them and their business. And for you, other things are working for your business, which is still very successful. So I thought it would be interesting to talk a little bit about what works for you. You know, I know you've been in business a long time, and I think there are things that people could benefit from hearing that are outside of the social media realm that have helped you, grow your business.
Okay. We do a lot of community service for all the schools and the churches in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Just
Do you feel like you have a lot of word of mouth business, or?
we do. Yeah.
Okay. Repeat customers, that kind
There
of
are a
thing?
lot of repeat customers. Now that some of the other, a couple of the other frame stores have closed up, that we're getting more business now too.
Oh, well, that's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you've been open a long time, so you feel like the word of mouth and being involved in your community and
It
that
seems
sort
to
of
work,
thing.
yeah.
That seems to work. Well, that's a positive thing.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, as far as being an entrepreneur, is that always something that you would aspire to?
Yeah, I went to high school, and then when I graduated from Marple Newtown, I went to the University of Miami.
Okay.
I graduated there with a degree in business administration. And then my father had 7 toy stores at that time when I graduated.
Oh, wow.
So I was basically coming into his business, what I did at that time.
Okay. So your father was an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and I assume probably growing up you were involved in the family
Right,
business.
all the time.
So I guess graduating, you thought this is the path I want to be on.
Right.
Right. So maybe, I guess first I wanted to ask, why didn't you stay with the family business? It sounds like it was pretty successful.
Well, I did stay with the
You
family
did.
business.
Okay.
But when I was in college, I graduated in 1975, and at that time there was an airline called Eastern Airline,
Okay.
and I was offered a job to come work for them at their computer department in Miami,
Okay.
and also from Barnett Bank in Miami, in Florida. But I had, my family business, and I decided not to go that direction, to go back with my family. So I came back, and my father had all these toy stores, and I did that for a couple of years, and then I decided to try something different. So we opened up an office supply store.
Right, I did see that. So let me backtrack a little, though. I'm curious, when you decided to tell your father or your family, you know what, I'm going to branch out on my own and do something else, was that something they were okay with as a
It
decision?
wasn't that way. The whole family said, "Okay, we'll do this with you."
Oh, okay.
So we all
right.
he had the toy store still.
Okay.
So then we opened up one office supply store, and we did more in that one office supply store than he did in all 6 toy stores put together.
Wow. Well, that's pretty impressive.
So
Yeah.
we just decided to go in a different direction at that point.
So as you were growing up, and he did have all these toy stores that you were, involved with as a family, what did you learn? Like, what are some of the things you picked up?
He taught me a lot about business, but he taught me his way of doing things more than the right way of doing things.
Okay.
Which turned out in the long run basically to be the right way of doing things for our situation.
Okay. Anything stick out to you as far as something that maybe you picked up from him that you think was a good
just
thing?
to do the best job you can do it. It's easier to do it right the first time than to do it halfway and
Sure.
have to go back and do it again. So.
Oh, that makes sense for pretty much everything in life.
Right.
Right. So that's great. So from what I understand, towards the end of college, you had a very serious life-changing accident. Is that fair?
Yes, I was in a car accident on the Schuylkill Expressway my final year in college. I came home for Christmas break, and I had like 6 operations, and it was a mess.
Yeah, and I guess that stood out to me because, as you know, we were talking before the
Right.
interview, I went through something similar myself, and it definitely changes your perspective on a lot of things in life. So how did that change your
It
perspective?
changed because I lost my last semester, my senior year, with
Okay.
all my friends graduated,
Yep.
and then I had to go back actually on crutches for the next semester
Wow.
just to finish up.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a graduation. I got on a plane and came back home. And then I went back, had more operations, eventually got back to work, and then we just started changing things around in the business.
Yeah.
And at some point, my parents and my sister decided to move to Florida, and they said, "Here's everything. Goodbye."
Right, right.
So it was,
So that must have been a rough time
yeah, it
between
was
all the
not the,
surgeries and the recovery and
yeah,
finishing school.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but
But you did it.
yeah, I did it.
And how soon after that did you guys open the office supply business?
After college, maybe about 2 or 3 years.
Okay. And why office supplies? How did you guys end up in that
My
field?
father had a wholesale school supply business where he would sell to other stores,
Okay.
and I just started looking at things, and I started saying, well, why don't we, sell some things to office supply stores too? So we bought some different types of things, and I said, the money is going out, and then it's in other people's control all the time, and so we have to wait until we get paid by our, the suppliers back to us,
Right.
or by our customers back to us. So I said, why don't we just open up our own store, and that way we can control, if we have sales during the day, we have money coming in all the time. We don't
Yeah.
have to rely on somebody else to, to pay us the bills that are owed.
So at some point you also opened a second office supply store, correct? Or?
Right.
Okay.
We were getting I was still closing down the toy stores,
Okay. Wow.
and my parents had a gift shop, and it was just a lot for me to handle, especially when they left. They left, and we had 2 office supply stores left and 1 toy store still.
Okay.
And I was just
And
running
you were running all of them?
I was running from store to store to store, emptying out trucks, doing my paperwork. I would never get out to see anybody, any
Yeah.
customers. It was just a lot of work because office supplies, you have to ship out things all the time. The phones are ringing.
Right.
A lot of packing, things like that.
So at the point where you had the one office supply store and there was a decision to open a second one, I think that's an issue for a lot of people who are in business for themselves. At what point do I decide to expand? When's the right time to expand? Sometimes people really expand at the wrong time, and even if they had one store that was successful, sometimes it, makes their whole business go downhill. So I'm
Right.
curious how you guys made that decision.
Well, we found that we were driving down, one store is in City Line Shopping Center,
Okay.
and we noticed that we were going down towards Bala Cynwyd all the time for all of our deliveries. So a store became available in Bala Cynwyd Shopping Center. So we opened an additional store up there, and that store just went completely crazy. But
Okay.
this was before Staples and Office Max and Office Depot.
So once those type of kind of big box stores started opening, how did that change your business
It
model?
made things a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
Because they were selling the stuff for what I was paying for it. They would use the 20 or 30 top items, just give them away. They didn't care.
Right.
And today, there aren't any small office supply stores left. And when I go into Staples and see what they're charging for some of
Yeah.
these
Sometimes you
things,
see like
I know
17-cent notebooks.
I know basically what it should be.
Right.
The pricing and everything. I said, this is ridiculous because they're back up to what our prices basically would have been at this time then.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's a big difference. Because, yeah, I've noticed, I feel like there's certain times of year, like back to school, for example, where you get flyers or you see
Right.
online where, they do seem like they're giving things away. Like I was saying, 17-cent notebooks and, 50-cent pen sets
But
and all
that's
that
only
kind of thing.
10 or 20 items,
Right.
just to get people to come in.
Right.
So they give them a 17-cent notebook. Who cares if
Right.
they're going to spend another $20 on, regular merchandise or other things that their kids need?
Right, that makes sense.
That's where they make, they'll
All
make
the
all their
money.
money on that.
Yeah, so at the time where you had your office supply stores and then these big box stores started opening, how did you manage that as far as your business? Did you have to change your business model?
No, we still had a lot of customers that were calling us all the time. We had
Okay.
a lot of outside customers,
Okay.
law firms. They would just call us every week, send this and this and this, and we'd put it on our truck and we'd send it right over.
So it sounds like you had dedicated customers that
Yeah.
didn't really care that there were the big box stores because they were
Right.
used to the personal
But we
service.
did, right, we did really, people could call us up and they say, well, I need this right now. I say, well, I'll put it in my car, I'll bring it over, I'll send it over right now.
Right. So you can't get that from
Right.
Staples. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like to run my business that way, but the way things go today, if somebody needs something, a picture frame overnight, I say, I prefer not to do it, but will I get it? Yes. Will I finish it for tomorrow? Yes.
Yeah.
Can they have it tomorrow? Yes.
And I assume that's probably one of the ways you've been able to distinguish your business.
Probably. I
That
would
level
think
of kind
so.
of boutique
Yeah.
and customer service, that's still really important to a lot of people. So, yeah, you're like, I don't know.
Right.
It seems like it's
just
been
the way-
working.
It works for us, so.
Yeah. So ultimately, you gave up the office supply businesses. Did you sell them? Did you close them? What did you do?
Well, while we had the 2 office supply stores, we had closed the 1 toy store, And then I was looking through a Crayola catalog one day to
Okay.
buy crayons for one of our office supply stores, and I noticed that that Liquitex, which is a paint company,
Okay.
was owned by Crayola. So I started calling them up and getting some information, finding out, and then I knew that we were thinking about opening another office supply store in Wayne,
Okay.
in the Wayne area, and then we just said, let's try something different since all these big box stores are making it more difficult for us.
So did you know anything about kind of the art and framing business, or
I
you
didn't
kind of
know
went out on a
I didn't
limb?
know very much, only
Okay.
that it existed,
Right.
and I knew enough because it seemed that the companies that we were all buying from, office supplies, all had some type of art supply related merchandise that I never knew about before.
Had you done some research into the demographics of Wayne specifically and thought that would be a
No,
good
but
place to
I've
open it?
lived here a long time, so I
Okay.
kind of knew where we wanted to go. I knew the little strip that we wanted to be in and everything. So,
Okay.
and a store became available, and we just decided to go at that point.
And when did you open?
We opened it 20 years ago.
Okay. Wow, it's a long time.
When my
And
wife saw it, it was called Lectins. They sold notions, but the people who owned that store lived upstairs.
okay.
And when we went in, the basement and the downstairs was literally dirt. So we had to pour a concrete floor, rip everything out, put
Right.
everything in new.
Wow.
It was a mess. But when my wife saw it, she said, "Are you crazy?" But I said, "Don't worry, we'll get it fixed." So,
And you did.
yeah.
Yeah. So when you opened that business, you were already married,
Yep.
and your wife Lori and you are partners in the business, or
Well, it's just the two of us.
the
Yes.
two of you, and you work together every day.
We do work together at times.
Okay.
Lori had broken her foot now, so she hasn't been
Yeah.
in since October or so. But not that we work together every day, but she works outside sales. She goes to all the networking events and
Right.
things of that, and tries to drum up business on the outside.
Okay.
Whereas I
More
do
in the
all the
store.
inside. Take care of the framing, getting things stocked,
Right.
helping customers.
So I was going to ask you if it was difficult to work kind of side by side day to day with your wife, but it sounds like you sort of have a separation of responsibilities.
We do.
Yeah.
I mean, do we bump heads against each other? Of course.
Yeah.
But it's just the way it is, and we just seem to work out fine that way.
Yeah. Is there ever any time that you can think of where you have like big decisions to make and you don't agree?
No.
No.
One of
That's
us
good.
is more persuasive usually, and we think very much alike.
Okay.
We don't act alike, but we think alike.
You think alike. Well,
Yes.
that's important. Yeah, that's very good. So, as far as the business itself, I mean, I'm familiar with it, but for people who maybe aren't, tell us about what you guys offer and what services
Okay.
and products you have.
We have a full line of art supplies, and we have children's crafts, children's kits, and then we have student grade paints, things like that nature. Then we have professional grade paints and art supplies, drawing pencils, anything that you might need. And then
Okay.
we also have, we do custom framing. And we do everything in our shop downstairs. Nothing is sent out. Like today, if you buy something at, say, like Michael's, a custom frame,
Yeah.
all your pictures and everything are packed up, shipped up to New York. It's done there and it's shipped back to you.
Okay.
It's shipped back to their store. So we do everything in-house. We don't send anything out. Plus, I do all the framing, and I know that if I do it, I wouldn't hang something up in my house. I wouldn't give something to a customer if I'm not going to hang it up properly in my house.
Right.
So it's easy for me because I can speak to the customer, see what they want, get an idea, do it how they want, and have them pleased at the same time.
That's great.
And we
Yeah.
also have we bought a new Epson printer, a wide format printer.
Okay.
So we can transfer canvas, we can transfer pictures to canvas, make them larger, things of
Oh,
that
that's
nature,
great.
too.
Okay. Is that kind of a big part of your business now?
I thought it was going to be better because when we bought the machine, we bought it in the intention that people would come in, give us a picture, we would make it larger, and then we would frame it at that point.
Okay.
That's where we would make out better than the printing because it takes a long time, a lot of computer time sitting there and getting it perfect and all,
Yeah.
the colors right. But it didn't seem to turn out that way. I mean, do some people have their pictures framed? Yes. Do most people? No, they take their pictures and they hang them up in that fourth way, or put them in a book, or use them like as one of your wall pictures or things like that.
Okay. That's still neat that you offer that, though.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about who your target client or target market is. Would you say there's a few kind of niche areas?
Well, I found that in the Wayne area and Devon, all along the main line, there's a large art community
Sure.
because there's a Wayne Art Center and also the Main Line Art Center.
Yep.
So we try to, drive our customers from those two sources, plus all the schools in the area.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just as an example, for Conestoga High School, they've been using the same book for the past 20 years.
For art classes.
For art classes.
Okay.
So every September, I know how many of this book we're going to sell, so I keep them in stock.
Oh, okay.
And the kids come in from Conestoga and say, I need this book, but I don't know what it is. And I say, well, don't worry, I know
You know what it is. Right.
The same with Radnor High School.
Okay.
And then we also like donate a lot of mat board and things like that to the schools too when they need them.
That's great. Yeah. So, earlier in the interview, you had mentioned one of the things that's really worked for you is being involved in the community. Can you tell me a little more about the kinds of things that you guys do in the community?
Right. Well, when a lot of the organizations have events or something, a lot of places ask me to donate some money for it.
Okay.
Instead of doing that, I always donate some kind of prize or merchandise.
Okay.
And I found that way the merchandise goes to exactly where it's going. Whether if I give someone cash, I'm not saying that I don't trust or believe anybody. I don't know where it goes sometimes. So this way, I can see an end result on this too.
Okay. Yeah, I would think like for something like custom framing, if you gave, let's say there was you were asked to give an auction item and you gave a certain value and a gift certificate for custom framing,
that too.
Right?
Yeah.
That I could see where that would benefit your bottom line because you have somebody coming in maybe who hasn't been in the store, because they've gotten this auction prize, and then if they see that you do a good job, they'll think of you for other framing needs.
Right. Well, we do that also.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good.
So we give out a lot of gift cards all the time
gift
too.
cards, yeah.
But for specific events, we used to give them to Mainline Art Center. Wayne Art Center asks me for stuff all the time, so we give them whatever they need.
That's great.
Or as much as we can.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. So what about, I know there's, obviously a few other local art stores that are also in the area. What do you think distinguishes your store from those stores?
Well, I think that the thing that distinguishes us is that we're a small family-run business.
Okay.
And there aren't any. The closest art supply store is maybe within a 5 miles area of us.
Yeah.
So we have a pretty close audience that, we can deal with. I mean, I don't get new people all the time. We get the same people over and over and over. But I've noticed that even some of them, there was a lady in our store once and she was very pregnant. So she was in the back of the store and she said, I don't feel good. I said, don't do anything. And
right.
Now her little boy used to come in. She had her little boy right at Christmas.
Okay.
So her little boy came in, then he's grown up. Now he's in the high school.
Okay.
And it just continues on.
Yeah. So you see multi-generations of families that you
get
to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I've seen
nice.
all the kids grow up. And on Fridays, all the kids from the middle school will swarm into Wayne too. So.
And they'll just hang out.
Yeah, they just come and hang out, but
yeah.
on Fridays it's pretty crazy there.
Okay, well it's nice. I mean, that's part of the benefit of having a family-run business. Yeah.
We also do things. There's a walk through Wayne through the elementary schools.
Okay.
Where like 1 or 2 teachers bring like 4 or 5 students. The entire class comes, but they go to individual stores.
Okay.
And we bring the kids in, say if it's from Ithan or Radnor or Wayne Elementary, and we take them downstairs. We show them how our computer mat cutter works, and I let them cut mats the old-fashioned way, to show them just how our business is run and things like that.
Oh,
they
that's
seem
neat.
to enjoy that, the kids.
Sure. Oh, that's great to get a behind-the-scenes
Yeah.
look. Yeah, who doesn't like that?
Right.
Yeah, I feel special.
Okay.
So what about, marketing efforts? It sounds like, the repeat business and the community efforts. Anything else that you might be able to share that's worked for you for your business?
Well, my wife is trying the networking, but unfortunately, I don't even have a Facebook account.
Right.
Because I'm more of a personal type person. I don't want to put all my information out there for the whole world to see.
Now, I think that's another way where you guys are a good balance, though, because your wife is involved more in kind of social
Right,
media
right,
networking efforts, and you kind of do things more old school, which still has a lot of cachet, I think,
right.
as far as getting to know people and networking in that manner. So, I mean, I think you're a good balance for each other.
Okay. Well, it seems to work for us,
It
so.
seems to work for you. So, yeah, I guess don't argue with what's
Right.
working, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I think I also met, if I don't know if you have one son or more than one son,
We
but
have two
you have
sons.
two sons, and I know I met one who's an entrepreneur. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, what kind of advice do you give him for running a business?
Well, he tried his own startup company, which was called Collaboration,
Okay.
and they would go down to the University of Pennsylvania Science Center every day they would offer space for new entrepreneurs
Mm-hmm.
to work there.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And they did this for a year, and well, they've been doing it since high school, basically. Then he did all through college with his partner, and then when he graduated, he did it another year and a half. But once again, I was giving him an allowance every week. You know, he's back living with us, which was fine because I wanted to help him as much as we could. Uh, I think that they took the business as far as it can possibly go
Okay.
at the moment.
Okay.
And now Ryan has moved to Fort Lauderdale,
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
and he's working on a new company. It's called Donor Community.
Okay. And what does that involve?
Some kind of internet where some kind of programs where charities and things, they need a program to help them raise money and things
Okay.
of that nature. So they write those types of programs.
Oh, that sounds
Now
like a great
again, I'm not
business model.
100% sure because I'm not a computer
Right.
person.
That's fine.
But even
Yeah.
when he had his collaboration company, he was talking about things I just didn't understand.
Okay. Well, do
So
you feel, I mean, I know that like we said during this interview, you're more old school with your efforts. Do you feel like there's things that you've been able to kind of give him advice for that have worked out?
I've helped him and I
Yeah.
gave him my opinions. Sometimes he used them,
Sometimes
sometimes
he
he
doesn't.
didn't.
Right, sure.
But most of the time, he was pretty rational in what he was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is now his second business that he's doing as a
Yes.
younger
Yeah.
professional.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And do you like to see that? The fact that he's
Yeah, I
following your
support him.
footsteps
I
and yeah.
support both of my sons. My other son is he sells Northwestern Life Mutual, and he lives in Hoboken.
Okay.
He does the New York area.
Okay.
But both of my kids, they went to Ithan, and they went to the old middle school, and went to the high school here. So we're complete, a Radnor family the whole time.
That's great. Yeah.
So.
So what about on a more personal level? We're at the start of a new year, and a lot of people make resolutions or maybe have things they'd like to do. What is something personally that you would like to accomplish that's outside of the business this year?
I don't know. I think I would just like to take a vacation because we work a lot.
Do you
all the
ever
time.
take vacation?
We haven't taken any since the kids have been in college because it's been so expensive.
Okay. So now the kids are both out of college, right?
Yeah,
Or,
and I'm
yes.
still paying for it in the long run.
Okay. So do you think this is the year? Are you going to try to take a vacation?
Maybe. We'll have to see how Lori's foot comes along.
Yeah. So if you had your way, where would you love to go that you haven't been?
I don't know. Maybe to just one of the islands in the Caribbean or something, just to take a week off and do nothing, not talk to anybody.
Right.
Just chill out for an entire week.
Now, if you and your wife were to take a vacation, do you have other staff that could fill in with the business?
I have one
or-
person that works for me now. She used to work just on Sundays, but since Lori's foot was broken, I needed more people to come, more help there. She's there now while I'm here.
Okay. So she's still been trying to pitch in even with her broken foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be hard. Yeah. Well, I hope you guys can take a nice break this year.
I try to.
So anything coming up this year for the business I know you mentioned the new printer with the canvas, which is something it sounds like relatively new that you're offering, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We offered that, but since the other custom framer closed that's across the street, I think we've been picking up a lot of business from their customers.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing.
So
yeah.
at the moment, just keeping up with everything and getting everybody what they want when they want it is going to be my goal for next year.
Right.
Or for
Well,
this year rather.
Yeah, if they closed and their customers are coming to you and you can make them happy, they'll continue to come back, I assume.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you don't want their first experience
Well,
with you to be a not positive one, right?
Well, I don't
yeah.
want anybody's
Yeah.
experience at all to ever
Sure.
be. Even if someone comes in and they don't like something, I'll redo it.
Sure, sure.
I don't care. I just want
Yeah.
everybody to be happy.
You want everybody to have, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, tell our viewers who may be unfamiliar with where you guys are. Tell them where your location is and anything else as far as I know you're not personally involved with social media much, but you guys do have a website and you have a Facebook page for the business, correct?
Yes, my wife has that.
Anything
She
you want to
runs all
share
that.
with our viewers would be great.
Our business is at 112 East Lancaster Avenue in Wayne. It's right across the street from the Wayne Hotel. We're open from 9:30 to 5 Monday through Saturday and 11:30 to 4 on Sunday.
And you have your Facebook.
We have my wife
yeah.
has a Facebook account. Again, I don't use Facebook, so I'm not really familiar with what she
But
does.
your store has a Facebook,
we have
right?
we have a website.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, people use it, but I found that people use it, and instead of ordering through the website, they call me on the phone and order it that way,
And they're
which
more
is
comfortable,
fine
which
with
is fine.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So usually at the end, I'll ask people what kind of networking organizations they think would be helpful to people, and I feel like that's not a question that's going to be a good one for you, right?
My wife would be able to answer
So
that
here's what
better.
I'm going to ask you, since you're so entrenched in the kind of the Radnor Wayne community. What are a few places that you and your wife love to go that people should be familiar with? Maybe a great restaurant or an event that you like in the area.
Well, we like when they have there's a festival in Wayne that they have. We go to that every year.
Is that the jazz festival?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on Wayne Avenue there.
Okay.
But even then, we keep the store open, and not that it brings extra business, but new people come by just to see what's going on.
Yeah.
So it helps a little bit.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite place to eat around here?
We go to Bertucci's a lot.
Yeah. The one up the street in Wayne
Yeah.
on Lancaster? Yeah. Yeah. So you're a big fan of Bertucci's.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Yeah. I just figured, even though we don't have any networking organizations to talk about, you probably had some good insight about things in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. And,
Okay.
if you haven't been to their business, please check it out. Family run and, obviously personalized and boutique service. So that's wonderful. And again, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.